Sunday morning. Ran out of time again, guys. Ran out of time. A lot of this stuff's taking way more than I'm expecting. Hours and hours of fiddling with stuff, so there you go. Anyway, back here again. The leak, I'll show you in a second, but the leak is now resolved. It took about 2 hours to get my head around that. You'd think it was so simple, but you know, crossing threads and breaking couplers and pipes not fitting in John Guest fittings correctly. Anyway, in the end, Mike next door came across with a massive box of O-rings, and we've solved it with that, so we're all good, watertight. Skip's full. A bit later on, we're gonna change the lock on the toilet door. We've got one key for this loo, and unfortunately, Mike's not in a lot of the time, so we need to make sure that we've both got a key. You'd say get a key cut, but of course it's a super duper Yale 5-star non-copyable key, unless you send off back to Yale and they produce one from the code number, which we don't have typically. So the V21's now working and not leaking, thank God, at last. I took the cooling coils out, as you saw yesterday. The only thing I've not checked is the performance of the agitator pump and whether that's actually pumping out of the two little hoses that you see there on the back. Just temporarily and probably stupidly connected the two ends of the heat dump together, so it's not dumping any heat, but it meant it wasn't spraying water all over the place. So I've only run it for a couple of minutes just to check the integrity of the connections inside, so it's not dripping, and that's all sorted now. So I think that's pretty much ready to go now. Just need to try and pick up a heat dump for not a lot of money, or make something. Mate of mine, David, came along yesterday with some stuff, including some hops. Best before 2024, we've got the leaf hops, got Bramley Cross and Fuggles at the bottom there, so a couple of pillows of those. And for some reason, he's a home brewer like me, but for some reason, he had a couple of new key kegs as well, so I'm going to have a play with those at some point. Might even get a Sankey valve and stick one in my kegerator at home, just to get a better understanding of it. So jobs for today. One is get that lock sorted outside on the toilet door so we can come and go as we please. Second will be preparing this channel ready for concreting next week. What I want to do is just stick some bits of wood across widthways, just with a friction fit, just to mock up the position of these channel ducts that I've got over here. So this channel duct will be going in the floor. As I've said before, the challenge with the floor drain is that this floor slopes that way. We need to get the water out that way. So we need to somehow find a way to put at least a shallow fall, even if it's flat. I think the water will find its level, but I'm concerned about it sitting higher than the floor level and obviously not being able to push the water into it quite so easily. So I'm just going to get some bits of wood in there to kind of pack out the bottom so we can rest these ducts on the wood and just get an idea of that level. The final thing we need to do, as I mentioned before, the drain. This is my sort of temporary sink waste. Drops into that pot over there, as I've previously mentioned. That then connects to that grid over there, which then we believe goes into that manhole. Now that's a good thing if that happens, because you see the foul waste pipe that comes out of the toilet. You can see from the tarmac there is connected to that manhole. So if these other two over here are connected, then we're laughing. So we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to get that manhole up over there, get some drain keys, manhole keys in a second, from Screwfix or Tool Station or somewhere, and then flush Mike's toilet, make sure water appears, and then run our sink. And if water appears in the same pipe or the same drain underground, then we'll know we're connected to the right sewer. But first, I'm going to have a brew. Well, I've just saved myself a trip to Screwfix. Managed to stick a pair of grips in and pull the manhole cover off. So we're looking good so far. There's the grid there. So let's get into Mike's loo and get that water running. In fact, I'll flush his toilet and see where it goes. Okay, so that's the bog flush. Comes in through the left-hand side. Looking good. Right, I'll leave that set up. We're going to run the sink and see what comes out. Okay, so the sink's running. It's about 10 metres away, so it's going to take a minute, but I can hear gurgling, which is good. Come on. Oh. I was getting worried about that then. Bloody hell, it took forever to come through. Okay. Fantastic. Right, now I'm happy. Good, okay. We'd have found a way if it didn't work, but I'm pleased that's not going where it shouldn't go. If that's going off with the foul waste, then it's going back to the sewage treatment works and not into the waterways. Don't want to be killing fish if we could avoid it, unless we're going to eat them. Okay, let's get this lock changed. So to take out, we only need to change the barrel here for something that's not got one of these fancy schmancy keys in. So screw out here, which centers this in the door, locks it in place. Okay. So with the handle off, the locating screw out, and the obviously the screws out the back, this thing should just, there you go, slide out. So we just need to measure that now and get one the same length and size. Here's the lock out of the door. Just need to measure it now to make sure we get one that's the right size. There's a few different versions of these, depending on how thick the door is how much is exposed outside of the end. Obviously these have got the door handle over the top as well, so it doesn't need to stick out too far from the door handle or be recessed too much. And they're not always equally distanced each side. Sometimes the lock itself, I don't know what this bit's called, but the bit that rotates when you turn the key and actually pushes the levers on the door, sometimes it's not in the center. So what's important is the distance from the leading edge to the hole, and the same at the back for the other side of the door. Now this one's offset a little bit. The longer piece is on the outside edge of the door. So we're looking at from the leading edge to the hole there, we're looking at 45, and the other side from the hole to the opposite end, we're looking at 50. So some manufacturers will call that a 45-50. Some will call it 40-10-45. The 10 being this bit in the middle. So you've got to be careful when you order. But as long as it's 45 to the center and 55 to the other end, we should be okay. Hopefully Screwfix and Toolstation will have one of those in stock. Okay, so we're back. Screwfix didn't let me down again. There you go. It's brass, but I'm not bothered. Doesn't really make any difference at all. So the size is the same. 55 or whatever it was. Oh yeah. $45, $40, $45, $40 to the hole is 45 and 50 and 50 and 45. Spot on. 3 keys, fantastic. Right, let's go put it in. Unlocked. As soon as you put the screw in, it'll unlock. So there's something blocking it on the barrel. It's to do with the way that you do. Wow. Very frustrating day. We'll get there though. Can't be too negative about it. This channel. Oh my God, it's like this unit's built on a hill. We've just packed it out with some bits of wood, so flush with the floor there. The other end there, we were probably 1.5 to 2 inches below the level of the slab. Which meant that we were below the level of the pot outside. So in order to try and get a natural fall, it's a big problem. We've been packing it out and trying different things, starting too high one end, and we're comfortable with flat. I think it does mean we're going to get a little bit of pooling this end, but we just dumped a whole load of water in it to see what would happen. It didn't get above halfway. And then over a period of time, it eventually found its way out the other end. So we're thinking just part of the clean-up regime before we go home at night will just be run a narrow squeegee from one end to the other, just to push any residual water back out of the building. It's not overflowing. I mean, we put litres, gallons and gallons in. Irritating, but manageable. We can deal with it. Other frustrations, the lock on the toilet door that I bought. I was so proud. I put it in, fitted, worked perfectly, but as soon as you close the door, it doesn't work anymore. Locked myself out twice. Eventually realised it must be a slight tolerance difference between the old lock and the new lock. Once it's in and the locating screw is tightened up, it won't unlock. If you take the screw out, it does unlock. But of course you can't not have the screw in because the cylinder just pulls straight out. So I spent an hour on it. I thought, you know what, I'll just go get a key cut. So I've got us a key now. I've got a spare lock. If anyone needs a spare lock, free of charge, let me know. Yeah, and no spurts at all from the water heater. So mission accomplished. Right guys, back to the proper job now for a week. Speak to you next weekend. Cheers.